I want to thank the organizers of this annual conference for inviting me to provide the External Review Committee's perspective on the program. I will begin by talking about who we are as External Review Committee and what we do, then talk about how we see the program and its activities, and then finally offer our perspectives. So first, before I begin, let me congratulate the program for its 16 years of working together. This is it has been the trust that has been built up by the participants in the program that has allowed for this longevity. Without trust, things don't last very long. And I congratulate the program for that. The second thing I want to do is just to note that John Eckert has played a valuable role in this third phase of the project, and thank him and wish him well in the future. So who are we, the External Review Committee? First, we're appointed by the Foundation for Science and Technology, FCT in Portugal. We are independent of the program and consist of academic peers from international recognized institutions. And we have one member for each of the four major research areas within the program. Marie-Paul Paolini, representing nanotechnologies from the Sorbonne. Alfred Eng, representing space-Earth interactions from the Canadian Space Agency. Oliver Jäkel, representing medical physics from the German Cancer Center. And myself, representing advanced computing, having experience in both high-performance computing and international collaborations. What do we do? So we serve the program in an advisory capacity. Whenever they ask for something, we'll try to provide it. But on a regular basis, annually, we meet to review the progress of the program and provide then a detailed set of recommendations to the FCT chaired governing board. We talk both about how the program has advanced and kept up with what it said it was going to do, how well it's doing in its research directions. And we also talk about the people that we've met from the various activities within the program. So what is our view of the program? Well, as noted here, it helps promote and enable the engagement of Portuguese researchers and entrepreneurial companies with those at the University of Texas through very large multidisciplinary research, education, and training activities, as well as technology transfer and commercialization activities. What we found is that this is a unique bilateral bridge of collaboration and trust between Portugal and Portuguese researchers and the University of Texas. It allows Portugal to target areas that it views as in its strategic interest to help grow more rapidly in that area, to focus on both the human capital development as well as the intellectual capital development. And because of the years of trust, it has offered new and unimagined opportunities, as I'll mention later on. So how do we see the program? Well, there are really two major activities or two major strands within this. One is those that I call the community strand, which involves many of the people in the audience today outside of the leadership, and then the leadership coordination and management activities. So the people that participate in the program often work either in research, education and training, or innovation. The research areas have been defined by the program in consultation with the FCT, and they often show up in either exploratory or strategic research projects. These are determined independently of the program, often by the funding agency. But the program itself, the management and leadership, often helps with some of the brokering of relationships prior to submission. And they also do a lot afterwards in monitoring the progress. In education and training, the program has helped set up research exchanges that participants participate in, workshops and mentoring. The program itself does a lot of the management coordination, reporting to FCT, proposing budgets, following through on budgets, working with the programs as mentioned, or projects as mentioned above. They organize these annual conferences that allows for networking between the participants. and also organize podcasts to let the research community as well as the citizens of Portugal know what it is that's being supported. And they help organize, as I mentioned, response to funding opportunities as well as research exchanges and thematic workshops. So in our meetings, we hear both from the program and how it's doing, as well as hear some members and participants from the community strands. As has been stated, the program has has been successful for the last 16 years. There have been 2 phases previous to the current one, and you can see in the box in the lower left the type of outputs that that program has developed in the first 2 phases, which was focused very much on the human capital development. In this 3rd phase, it started in 2018, there was a shift in emphasis to not only include human capital development, but also the intellectual capital development, so essential for a vibrant research community as well as innovation ecology. And that started in 2018. And along the way, there are several things I'll talk about, but one was in 2020, there began 11 strategic research projects, which I'll talk more about. If you look on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see that, again, the program has been able to help support new entrepreneurship opportunities in the community by this particular activity. I'll talk more about the strategic research projects and then certainly talk more about the Minho Advanced Computing Center in the next slide. But of course, progress in this area has been interrupted because of COVID. It has slowed down many things, as we'll see later on. But in spite of that, the program has made tremendous strides in moving forward. So let me talk a little bit about something that was unexpected at the beginning of the program back in 2007. The partnership has helped do something, and the title of the slide, From TAC to MAC, is from the Texas Advanced Computing Center to the Minho Advanced Computing Center, or as I say, from Bob to Deucalion. This is a big deal because basically, because of the partnership, it allowed for a transfer of equipment from Texas to Portugal, the value of about $1 million, to have a new computer. That helped Portugal win a new green computing supercomputer. And that led to a leadership of the Portuguese research community in this particular area, and in fact provided access to high performance computing for the Portuguese research community. This would not have happened likely without the program. This is one of those unexpected outcomes of a partnership that's been built on trust. You can see from this set of slides from 2000, this set of milestones from 2017 to 2023, the steps that it took to start a computing center, to get the transfer of equipment called Bob, to inaugurate it, to let people use it, to have a successful competition, to finally have it dedicated. Results take time. I think that's one thing that's really important to understand about a collaboration of this scale. We often don't see those results right away. This time we were able to see it. So let me start in this slide by, here's a picture of Bob Peterson in the foreground and Bob the computer in the background. And here's the dedication. This happened last month of Deucalion, where you can see Prime Minister Costa from Portugal at that, along with Minister Fortunato of Science, Technology, and Higher Education in Portugal. This is a big deal, and that made part of because of the program. But in our meetings, we also, as I said, hear both about these activities as well as outcomes from the community. In our view, the program, in spite of all of the COVID, the program has a professional and dedicated leadership team that has helped make progress. It executes on its responsibilities, often late into the night. They're dedicated to the program. They've met the challenges of COVID through innovating new ways to continue training and to build up new ways of communicating the results through podcasts to the public. And it has faced the management challenge of having 11 of these strategic research projects funded when they had budgeted only for about half that many. and they did not get extra staff to help monitoring, nor did they get extra budget in Texas to help cover the costs. So there was a great deal of flexibility with the Texas budgets here. And that's because they had built up the trust to be able to do this. So we also heard about future directions in our last meeting. And what we wanted to do is provide some strategic as well as some targeted advice. I think it's really important as the program looks forward in the type of discussions you're going to be having today to be strategic, needing to balance almost unlimited aspirations for what you'd like to do with the reality of the resources to be able to really make progress. So what should the program do? Well, it certainly should strive for excellence in whatever it focuses on and leverage the strengths of the partnership with Texas. It should seek areas that will have a unique contribution that no one else could do, and where there's really a passion for the people that would lead that to lead those areas to make the most of those activities. And finally, it will need to focus to make progress. It can't do everything. It should do those things what it does really well, but it needs to be mindful to balance focus with openness to new ideas, because technology and societies change so rapidly over a 5-year period. And a more targeted approach or more targeted advice that we gave is that in the research areas, we heard a lot about energy. You'll hear a lot about that later today. We thought that was an excellent, I think, direction for the program to take because of the uniqueness of what Portugal and Texas can bring together. Nanotechnology, which has always been an area of a great deal of emphasis with the program, is very broad and needs some focus, and then continue with advanced computing. And I think today's agenda reflects the emphasis on these 3 areas, and you'll hear more about that later. When we listen to the people who have participated in the exchange and training programs, we hear their excitement, and we know that they're going to have long-term ripple effects into the Portuguese research and entrepreneur communities. This is an essential part of the program that really should be encouraged in the future. And I think there's a real opportunity in explicitly looking at technology innovation and entrepreneurship. One opportunity is perhaps to expose students and junior faculty early on how to transition ideas, from the research into the marketplace. That can make a huge difference in the future of Portuguese research as well as its economy. More recently, we've been asked to take a closer look at the strategic research projects. This is a request from the program to do an assessment. Before I talk about that, let me just remind everyone, what were some of the key features of these strategic research projects, or the SRPs. To be selected, you need to have a balance of both the project quality and science, technology, and innovation, and emphasis on competitiveness of a small and medium enterprise that was leading it, along with the value to the Portuguese economy. As I mentioned before, 11 of 14 applications associated with this program were funded. You can see the distribution here, many in nanotechnologies. And the funding started around the time of COVID. And for many of the people there, while there had been some collaborations, many had not collaborated with their partners in Texas. This is a really difficult challenge. Collaborations, in my view and my experience, really depend on a lot of face-to-face meetings, not just Zoom meetings, and this was not possible. But in spite of that, progress was made. I want to pause just for a second here before we talk about some of the outcomes. I think it's really important to just, think a little bit, about how you present what it is that you have been doing. You've been working 3 years on a project. You devoted your life to the project. You've been finding a lot of results. And now you find yourself in an opportunity where you might be riding an elevator with the new Minister of Science, Technology, and Higher Education, who says, well, what are you doing? And you have about 30 seconds before she gets off. She's a busy person, and you need to tell her about what you've accomplished in this collaboration. So she'll remember it and know what to do about what was the driving question, what was the key accomplishments, and what were the benefits to Portugal. In addition, she'll probably want to know, understand, how you would, what has been the benefit of working with Texas and perhaps a unique benefit of working with Texas on this. These are important questions, and these are what we posed, among many other questions, to the 7 of the 11 strategic research projects that we talked with. So this were our findings. We, of with the 7 we talked about, we found exceptional quality in the Portuguese and University of Texas collaborations, both at the part of the leadership with their vision and passion and the excellence of the participants. The projects themselves have made tremendous accomplishments with value to Portugal, even in spite of the COVID really slowing down things. There have been papers, prototypes, expertise built up that wasn't there before that now Portugal can begin to lead, venture capital funding, as well as a new spin-off or two. So this really covers the gamut as what had been hoped for with the call, from the quality, the project quality, all the way to the benefit to the Portuguese community. And it was very clear that during these 3 years, the extent of progress that was made would not have been possible without the UT Austin collaborators that provided both their experience as global leaders, having been there before, helped to direct the research areas in a way that we don't have to, that just expedited the whole progress of the activity, and through access to one-of-a-kind resources that just didn't exist in Portugal. We feel that Portugal really is at a tipping point moment, that many of these activities have prototypes, and it would be an opportunity to take advantage of the aggregate of these investments to really help propel Portugal into a leadership position in several areas with benefits to the larger Portuguese economy and health. And the program, that is, that management coordination aspect, has added value to these collaborations through providing networking opportunities, monitoring and working with the projects, and through its dissemination. So the theme for your meeting is modeling the future. Let me just end by sharing some thoughts about what you want to keep in mind. There is an outstanding partnership that exists that has built the bridge of collaboration and trust. It needs to be used. There's a unique value to the Texas involvement that has been demonstrated to us, at least in our discussions with SRPs. They hold the promise for much more. And as you think forward, how do you take advantage of that unique value? I think that will be critical. And just repeating what I said, you really need to focus on what is that unique collaboration with Texas that can propel forward some of the areas that you'll talk about. And it's not just what are those areas, but then as that 30-second elevator ride is, I mentioned before, you need to keep articulating the value of the activity and the uniqueness of the collaboration so that the Portuguese taxpayer, industry, research community, and government understand that. One can't assume that that's understood. So with that, I want to wish you well in your discussions today. I believe they're going to be very fruitful. I think there's a lot going for this program. I want to, again, thank the organizers for allowing me to share the views from the Executive Review Committee. I want to thank in particular Andrea Passos for making sure that we haven't made mistakes. Those mistakes are still all mine that are left. And I also want to thank the members of the External Review Committee for helping me improve the quality of these slides. And with that, let me wish you all the best. I'm sorry I couldn't be there either in time or space, but I think you'll have a really successful meeting.